struggled for a long time with surviving. No matter what, you keep finding something to fight for.
Hello everybody, this is Snarist, and welcome back to the finale of my Last of Us Part 1 Granted Difficulty Guide. This is Part 10, Firefly Lab. And this is a bit of a strong start, because I've died about once in this sequence when I went pretty far into it. Get your revolver out, take a couple of shots. When it comes to the Fireflies, almost always aim for their legs, because with a revolver, they'll die in one shot to their legs. And because a lot of them wear body armor and helmets, the flamethrower surprisingly puts in a lot of work here. But just be careful, because what I noticed about the flamethrower is that because the flames are so wild, and I love the effect on it in this game actually, it fires way faster than it does in the original, which I will say is really good, because the flames can actually like dance around the corner of the wall a little bit. So there's going to be a couple of guys down in the middle of that hallway there, and they'll always watch it with machine guns. So make sure you throw a nail bomb down there if you just want to get rid of them. It triggers the next spawn of them. So just keep in mind you've got not just the room in front of you, but you've got a couple of rooms to your left, you've got a couple of rooms behind you. There's a lot of different places you can go and hide and you know, flank around them. And the Fireflies are generally very defensive. So sort of take your time with this. So you've just more or less used whatever weapons and resources you've got. You know, follow along with what I'm doing. Try not to use the assault rifle unless it's an absolutely last resort, because the assault rifle is fucking trash. It kicks so much, and even though it still kills very quickly, you have a hard time actually controlling the gun. It kicks so much. It's so bad. Holy fuck. Like, if there was like a Last of Us weapon tier list, assault rifle would be F at the bottom. What a fucking trash weapon. And they had the chance in the remake as well, I've said it before, to make it not only a weapon that you can start off with in your loadout, because you can, but a weapon that you know, you can upgrade at the bench. Imagine that. That'd be really good. So I meant to throw the bottle down into the room, but I accidentally threw it at the windowsill, so they'll be moving exactly on my position. But I just want to get them a little bit closer since they don't know where I am right now, so I can set them on fire. And luckily it doesn't take all that much. Even with armor on, it kind of passes through it. I guess that makes sense, you know, since fire like largely gets through. Sometimes with these enemies, when they're crouched down behind places, you need to aim for their like feet, or you need to aim for their backside a little bit, so that the flames can like catch their back and set the rest of them on fire. So when you run out of shotgun ammo, or you're not sure if it's going to be all that useful, or it doesn't fire very fast like mine doesn't, just use the flamethrower. Now, I will say, well, we've got a bit of a moment here as we get halfway through this beginning sequence. This used to be a pretty tough sequence in the original and remaster. There definitely is a way you can sneak past them, and if you want to know a way to sneak past them in the original and the remaster, if you have that, I'd recommend PS4 Trophies. It's a very old video, but he knows of a way that I used once where you can stealth through the entire Firefly hospital, whether you're playing on the original or the remaster. He knows how you can do it. Whereas with me, I prefer to fight even in the remaster, even though they do tons more damage than they do in this difficulty for this game, you know, this version of the game. I still like to fight in the Firefly hospital, because I think for the most part it's very fair, and what makes it very fair in the remake is the fact that you get a checkpoint. If you can clear this entire first section and you get to the part where you've got to hide while they run through the hallway, that's a checkpoint. If you get past them and you get down into the upper floor where we can do some looting, you get a checkpoint. If you move forward and get to the final fight, you get a checkpoint. Whereas in this, in the original and the remaster, if you die at any point throughout the entire Firefly hospital, apart from when you save Ellie, if you mess up that sequence, well, until you get to Ellie, if you die at any point, you got to start from the beginning, right down here. So what is generally like a 15-minute sequence turns into, you know, like a long sequence, whereas in this, it's a lot easier to deal with. And this is pretty much the end of my walkthrough, apart from The Last of Us Left Behind, which, because it's not a DLC and it's a side story within this game, I'm probably going to give it its own video and playlist. It seems like a bit of a waste, but I wanted to divide it into multiple parts just so it was easier to deal with. And you know what? I still might do that. I still might take the footage I've got and duplicate it, so that way, instead of having one like half an hour long video on that entire part with all of Ellie's sequences and, you know, the fighting and everything, I could divide it up into like 10-minute sequences. I'm sure that'd be fine. and it definitely would save a lot of time. But I mean, honestly, I don't even think it deserves that, because I don't like the idea of making playlists for a single video. It seems ridiculous, but then again, I've already done that for Yasuke Simulator, the 2026 update, where instead of dividing it into several chapters, I just made one long video, like half an hour long out of it. So I'll probably do the same for this one, because I do not like the Left Behind DLC, and I'll say a lot more about it when I get to it. But once I finish that recording and this recording, and yeah, I'm going to start editing my footage, and I'm going to put my commentary back into it. And when I do, it should be pretty late in the afternoon, but you know, apart from some things here and there that I've got to do, for the most part, my afternoon's basically going to be free. And before I go back to work tomorrow, there's my nail bomb that I threw in there that somehow didn't go off. What the fuck? But yeah, I've got a few other games ready to go, as far as, like, you know, I waited for Steam sales and I've got tons of games ready to go. And as much as, you know, S10 Proud Nordics is already released, I think, and Romeo's a Dead Man is already released, and I'm kind of, you know, I'm more and more tempted to check that out. But there's so many other great games, either by emulation or by what's available right now or what I've bought. Because I picked up Devil May Cry 5 with the Virgil DLC along with Devil May Cry HD Collection, and I really want to start playing Devil May Cry because I always get that itch to go back to the third game. And so I don't really care much for the first game or the second game or even the fourth game, because I played that one to death and I'm sick of it now. But, you know, I'm still tempted to go back and make a guide on getting S ranks for Dante Must Die and Hell and Hell for, you know, the original characters and for Virgil on the thing. But the only thing that's different is I won't be able to play Legendary Dark Knight because I don't think the special edition is available on PC, which is a shame. But you know, at least I can play the Virgil DLC. You know, that is the thing. So there's the last guy there, and I'm going to speed up this to do a little bit more looting for stuff that I've missed already. So yeah, basically, as much as I think it's important to space out these uploads between what's niche and what I want to do versus what would be popular, I really do think that if not this series before, or some other series before, but I think this afternoon I'm going to get started on doing some recordings for Devil May Cry, because I really want to get the commentary for The Last of Us all sorted and get it all uploaded and finished, and I want to export these videos because, you know, I'm going to run out of space eventually on my hard drives and, you know, my computer and everything. I just need to make sure I clear the space of footage, because not only do I want to do a hard difficulty no upgrade run with Dante, I don't know if I would do the same for Virgil. I probably will, or I'll do like a very hard playthrough or something, or just, you know, just something different with Virgil, or maybe the same. I don't know, because I've done no upgrade runs on hard with both of them. I don't know what I would do with Virgil. I'd probably do like, I don't know, hard difficulty SS ranks or something. You know, just something a little bit different where I can still get upgrades, I can still do this and that, but I just, you know, I get S ranks or something. But then again, I prefer fighting with Dante more than Virgil in Devil May Cry 3. I find Dante a lot more fun to use. Virgil's still a little bit awkward. So I don't know what I would do with Virgil, but what I am going to do is I'm going to do like, you know, combat adjudicators don't need tutorials with Virgil because they're very easy, and Virgil doesn't have that many moves, but he hits really hard, and so that still counts as a lot of style. So I'd probably do like videos on how to beat all of the combat adjudicators to help people if they're playing as Dante and they want to break all the statues, or if they want to find all the blue orbs around the place. And because Dante and Virgil play differently, and they have different strengths and weaknesses when it comes to their movement, you know, and especially when it comes to the secret missions in particular, I'd probably want to help, you know, give advice to players who want to beat it. So yeah, a lot of plans going forth with Devil May Cry 3, but the funny thing is, even though I have those expectations, you know, like beating the game with Dante on this and that, beating the game once with Virgil on this and that, and then doing a full walkthrough on, you know, where to find all the orbs as Dante and Virgil, and where to find and defeat all of the combat adjudicators with Dante, and then finding all the secret missions with Dante and Virgil and beating them with both those characters. You know, all these different sort of projects I want to do with Devil May Cry 3 to make up for the lack of projects for the other Devil May Cry games besides 5. I just, yeah. The only games related to Devil May Cry that I actually have more of an interest in are just 3 and 5. That's the only thing I do. And even then, I don't love 5 as much as I used to anymore. Like, it's still a great and wonderful game, and it definitely has the best gameplay in the series, and it is a fantastic game, but I feel like too many people have memed that to death, and they let the meme culture inspire Devil May Cry 5's approach to its story and everything, and, you know, so many people... The same thing happened with Metal Gear Rising. people look at that game now as a meme game, but back at when it came out, and even the year after it came out, where I got introduced to it and I started following it, and then a couple of years after its release in 2015 or 2016, where I started playing it when I got my first PS3 that I properly owned, and I bought it, and I had so much fun with it for like 2 or 3 years, and then I stopped playing it. So, you know, I don't have Metal Gear Rising on my PC right now, but I'm just waiting for the right time for a sale. It's like $40 Australian, but, you know, I'm just waiting for a sale. Because I'd love to go back and do it. I don't know if I would do the the virtual reality missions, the VR missions, because I remember beating most of them, but then there's like 3 or 4 of them that just gave me too much trouble. I'm like, you know what, fuck this, I don't care. So I could still do that, but at the same time, I don't really want to because I know how much trouble they gave me. But if I get a bit more knowledgeable with the game and I get a bit better, I don't see why I can't do it, you know? So yeah, I definitely want to go for beating Revengeance difficulty from a new game, so that way people that are struggling on Revengeance that maybe have their New Game Plus upgrades, you know, like they've beaten the game once already, or they've beaten it twice and they've got tons of upgrades, or maybe they decided to use the wigs to cheat a little bit. You know, how would I fare if I played on Revengeance from a new game and upgraded as I went along and I didn't use any wigs, or I didn't use any DLC weapons or, you know, suits or anything like that? You know, how would that go down? And in S-Rank, I've beaten all the missions with all the encounters with S-Ranks before. It took a long time, it was annoying as fuck, and I had to use wigs, but, you know, it's still possible. I don't know if people would count that as cheating with wigs, but I wouldn't. So anyway, I set this motherfucker on fire, because of course, and fuck what they say. It's always funny in part 2 where you see the cutscene of Abby seeing her dad, you know, dead. But he's just like a guy that was shot or stabbed in the neck with a scalpel or something, when in reality, I burned him alive. Which is metal as fuck. So, yeah, if I did like a whole, you know, all S-ranks on Revengeance, on all encounters for all chapters, I'd probably be tempted to use a wig just to do it. And I don't know if people would get angry at me for using that, or if they, you know, would get angry at me for doing that.
I said get